Thanks for coming. I appreciate it very much. There it is right there. Thanks for coming. Is everybody ready to start? What I'd like to do first is call Bob Myers to come forward and give us a prayer and a pledge of allegiance.
This way. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we remember this morning who you are, and we put ourselves in right perspective to you. We remember that you are the final authority in this world, that you raise up and bring down nations and men, and we submit ourselves to that authority. And we're thrilled that you have a part of that plan for this world for each one of us to play. Certainly in our nation, but maybe most importantly in our county. And I pray for real wisdom for everyone here today. Pray for our county commissioners. Direct them to know your purposes and to have the courage to live according to your purposes. These are troubling times in our nation, and we recognize that we are dependent upon you. We see the forces of evil gaining strength. We see our nation being torn apart, and we call upon you for your intervention, that you would bring about a great awakening spiritually and politically as well. And we admit our dependence upon you. Direct us to play the part we are to play. I pray for your guidance and your protection upon all the leaders in this county, whatever role they might occupy, from law enforcement, first responders, to leadership in the county. Protect them, give them your guidance, give them power from you. And direct this meeting today, that in everything we would seek first to understand you, understand your will, to give all honor to you, and to seek to obey you. In Jesus' name we pray. Let's also do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. One of the things is that Chris is not going to be with us today. He's got some other callings. So we will just go ahead and I'll act as chairman. Would you go ahead, Amanda, and take the roll call, please? Here.
Here.
You have an agenda before you. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda if appropriate?
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Today we'll start this meeting with a Board of Health presentation. Could I have a motion to open the Board of Health meeting?
I'll make a motion we open the Board of Health.
Second. All approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, citizens and staff. Dwayne Smith, Director for Elbert County Public Health, here to provide an update on our efforts. I'll start with a COVID update, and I won't mince words. We're in a bad situation right now. Our cases over the past 2 weeks, we've had 122 confirmed cases over the past 2 weeks. That is the highest number we've seen probably since the November spike. We've had 61 cases in the past week. Our 2-week average positivity is 11.23% as of this morning. Our 1-week average positivity is 11.05%. For perspective, the statewide average positivity is 6.11%. So we're nearly 5 percentage points above the state average. And while it is important to mention that the state is likewise experiencing an uptick in cases, positive cases, an uptick in hospitalizations, although not nearly as dramatic as the November spike. Transmission of the virus continues in significant measures, particularly on the western side of the county, the northwestern side of the county. So that would be the 80107 zip code and the 80138 zip code. Yesterday, Elbert County Public Health was notified by the superintendent of Elbert School District 200 of a COVID-19 outbreak among high school students. There were at least 6 students that were confirmed positive or had symptoms. Several other school support staff are believed to have been exposed to infected individuals. Many of the high school students have siblings that are experiencing COVID-like symptoms, including one of the athletic teams. In collaboration with school district leadership, Elbert County Public Health identified the likely source of the outbreak and is working to implement safety measures to mitigate further transmission of the virus in the community. Our preliminary findings indicate that the virus was most likely spread due to non-compliance with basic protective precautions. So therefore, I want to emphasize the need for continued vigilance with social distancing, staying home if you're sick. That includes both school students and adults that may be headed to work. Regular hand washing, all those things we've been talking about for some time now and folks are very familiar with. Early yesterday afternoon, the school district leadership made the decision to transition to remote learning for a period of 1 week with plans to return on Tuesday, May 4th. The initial infections were traced back to April 22nd and 23rd. Therefore, we were comfortable with a 1-week transition to remote learning in an effort to mitigate the transmission among the school community. We've also had challenges with other schools in the county and transmission among students and families. Again, our case investigations and contact tracing has revealed that parents are continuing to allow their children to attend school, whether they're symptomatic or have tested positive for a variety of reasons. It is rapidly being transmitted among families and spread at gatherings and things of that nature. Some of the school districts have sent home or communicated with parents several occasions in the last week on the need to stay home if they're sick, for the students to stay home if they're sick, to get tested if they've been exposed, to quarantine and then get tested 5 to 7 days after their exposure. To help with that, we have partnered with Elizabeth Fire Rescue, who has recently stood up a testing resource at the headquarters station in Elizabeth on Highway 86. To date, there have been approximately 185 tests conducted. Those tests were typically being conducted on Mondays and Wednesdays. Those tests are free Folks can register for an appointment at the Elizabeth Fire Protection District website. On Tuesdays and Thursdays in the last week and a half, the fire department has also coordinated vaccine clinics at the former Frontier High School. To date, there have been about 460 registrants for the vaccine clinic, although not everyone that registered kept their appointment. They may have got in at another location prior to that, but I believe somewhere around 400 or so folks have been vaccinated through that vaccine clinic, which is great. We anticipate the need for a regular option for both testing and vaccinations moving forward. Our vaccination percentage of those percentage of county residents that have thus far been vaccinated is low in comparison to other counties, but there is context that's needed to that figure, and therefore I am not entirely fixated or worried about the metrics. I'm much more focusing on offering or the availability of vaccines to folks that decide that that's a good fit for them. Certainly we encourage everyone to get vaccinated. That is our quickest path back to normalcy for all activities and events in the community and in schools. The last I checked, which I believe was Monday, Elbert County was listed as having approximately 27% of the county that has received, 27% of the county population that has received at least one dose of the vaccine. As far as comparison to other counties, that ranked 60th among Colorado's 64 counties. But we were behind from the start in getting vaccinations started. Most of the counties that have a hospital or acute care healthcare facility were the first to begin vaccinations as early as December. We didn't have our first vaccine clinic until February 2nd. And the inability to access the Johnson & Johnson one-dose vaccine means that we have to do twice as much work to vaccinate the same volume of people with a two-dose. So in other words, we have to set up an entire clinic for the first dose. 4 weeks later, we have to repeat that for the second dose. Compliance with second dose appointments has been very good. I would estimate it to be better than 90%. So we're very pleased that folks are coming back for their second dose. We will continue to message opportunities for testing, for vaccines, both within the county and in communities that neighbor county borders, whether that's Bennett or Cowhan or Parker, Lyman, trying to make sure that folks are aware of where they can access testing and vaccine. I'll pause there on the COVID update in the event you have any questions or comments on that topic.
The only question I have is, to what extent are these new cases variants?
Good question. Thank you for that question, Commissioner Thayer. The volume and percentage of variance is of significant concern. In other words, the state is no longer providing us information on what percentage of positive cases of test results or test results that result in a positive determination of a COVID infection by PCR testing. They're no longer, because the volume is so high and the sequencing for the genome takes sometimes 6 days or more, and there's a significant delay in reporting results that include variants. Right now, I believe it's safe to assume that approximately 1 in 2 positive cases are likely to contain or likely to have a variant present. Up until about a week and a half or 2 ago, the variant that was solely present was the B117 variant, which is the UK variant, which we've known has been here in the county since late December. About a week and a half or 2 ago, there was a case that identified Brazilian variant. So variants continue to proliferate, not only in Elbert County, but across the state and across the nation. So that really emphasizes the need to continue to be vigilant for some time. We are, I would say, informally nowhere near getting through this, particularly with the spike in cases we've had over the last week. This is a good example of how it takes a village to get through this. So everyone is encouraged to do their part.
I see a couple hands for questions. I'm going to let the staff make their presentation first, and then I'll give you the opportunity for public comment.
In other health department news, before I pass it over to Stacy Reinhardt, our environmental health specialist, for an update, just to tee this up for the next Board of Health meeting, whereby we'll be asking the Board of Health to approve a contract with Tri-County Health Department for tobacco awareness and tobacco prevention efforts within the county. That is a $30,000 contract. The next round of COVID funding that will begin in the next fiscal year and continue for probably 40 months or so. We were notified of an initial award of, I believe it was approximately $580,000 that will go to support all of the COVID coordination and relief efforts. So we're in good shape with funding for the next probably 2.5 to 3 years. That funding will support staff members, and again, here's an opportunity for me to share that we are still looking for a public health nurse to fill an important role within the health department. And then lastly, I want to share a photojournalist and a journalist that are under contract and have pitched a story on mental health and behavioral health, particularly as it relates to ranchers. We'll be doing a story. The story has been written. It's in its final editorial stages and will be picked up by Kaiser Health News and distributed nationwide. There were, I believe, a couple local ranchers that were willing to share their story with regard to the challenges that their ranching efforts and their vocation that they experience as part of being a rancher. So I think it's important, every opportunity we get, to message the need that mental health is just as important. Mental health promotion is just as important as physical health, as social health. So we look forward to that story coming out probably in a couple weeks. And with that, I'll turn it over to Stacy.
Hello, I'm Stacy Reinhardt, Elbert County Health Specialist. So I will be speaking in regards to just a little bit about rabies, since springtime is upon us, a little bit about restaurants, and then kind of where we are as far as OWTS, which is on-site wastewater treatment systems. I'll start with rabies. As you know, with spring here, and living out where we do, there's going to be a lot of new wildlife that may be coming closer than what normally would be seen on properties, ranches, that type of thing. So just putting it out there, please, please, please leave any new little baby cute animals alone. Very important. There is often a lot of transmission that can occur from a adult mother. We'll use a skunk, for example, in transmitting rabies if she were to be positive to her young, and then, people think they're cute or they want to rescue. So leave them be. I do have good news to report that last year we did not have any positive rabies. That was reported through the county. That was from bats or skunks or anything along those lines. So that is great news. So it was a very low year with a lot of very minimal risk of transference. So great job to the community for really being dedicated on keeping those vaccines of rabies current with your animals. If you do find that your animal, you're concerned that they have come in contact with a skunk, bat, that's usually what we see out here, please contact the health department, let us know, and then immediately go get, is that back feed? And then immediately go get a booster shot for your animal. Another site that I would like to put out there is the Colorado Parks and Wildlife website. I really encourage you to look on there. They have a lot of great resources. You're going to also see a lot of new, owls and just raptor-type birds that might be present or, injured, appear injured. So look on there. They can really steer you in the direction to go without putting yourself at risk. Let's see. I think that's about it as far as rabies go. I will say, since we had such a low year last year, that usually it kind of trends. So just be aware that we haven't seen a huge surge in rabies, and we certainly hope that we would not, but we always have to be diligent. Let's see, moving into restaurants. A couple of things. We had, I was really happy to, announce, as far as a community, most of our restaurants were able to stay operational and in business. There was a couple of programs that were offered within the county, which I know was much appreciated, and I'm hoping, I didn't get confirmation on a lot of the detail, but that small business owners were able to take advantage of and apply for some of that assistance. As far as the state, they offered a reprieve from licensing fees if, as a county, we decided to participate in that program, which we did, and therefore the licensing fees were not collected from the businesses that were affected by capacity restrictions due to COVID. And that's in the restaurant side. Sorry, let me clarify that, as far as restaurants go. So with that, we will be getting dispersals from the state financially. Let's see, our first dispersal we just received was $2,387.75 for the first quarter. And we will be getting a total of that by the year's end of close to about $10,000. And I think that was just very important for us to be able to reach out to those food industries and do what we could do as a county to assist them. As we all know, they were hit quite significantly with last year's COVID. Let's see. I'd like to briefly mention the 5-star program that was presented in the county, and I want to just make sure that I show appreciation to the community for your support. It was great. We really had actually a lot more positive feedback than negative in regards to those businesses that were really taking everything that they could to service the community in a safe manner. We actually had almost about 1/3 of the restaurants that could qualify. Again, that determination for qualification of the 5-star program was based upon if you were affected by capacity restrictions. And so about 1/3 of the restaurants in our area, which often are a lot of mom and pop type restaurants, decided to participate in that. And we did receive a lot of positive feedback, so that was great to see. And not only from the community, but also from the restaurant owners that participated in that program. They really appreciated getting to know some of the other restaurant owners, which was, I think, a great thing to see within our community, that they were able to kind of connect and just discuss. So I hope to see those relationships continue that were established at that time. That's about it as far as restaurants go. Let's see, as far as on-site wastewater treatment system, let's see, last year, we had a total of, let's see, I'm sorry, my glasses here, it's really tiny. 655 permits were issued last year. That was up from 2019, and currently we are on track at 155 permits for this first quarter that's been issued, which means we're seeing a big uptick in new permits that are being issued. We are currently at 36, so if we were to maintain that trend, it could almost double by year's end. But of course, we just, you don't know. Every month's a little different as to what comes through, but we still are seeing a lot of new permitting come through the county in regards to new development and on-site wastewater treatment system. Let's see, use permits, of course, were the largest contender with those amounts. Use permits pretty much cover a wide variety of different types of permits. So a use permit can be issued when there's a sale of a home. They are issued if there's an increase to the size of the home, like a couple of bedrooms being added. And then other issues that we kind of look at and evaluate as a county to see if a permit would be required for that process. So we definitely see a large capacity of increase in general conventional use permits. Our inspections that we are continuing to maintain, we had a total of about 208 last year. We're already up to 32 just in this first quarter, so we are definitely staying very, very busy and working really well with our contractors. I would encourage you to look at our website. We did a lot of work to just make it more user-friendly for the community to be able to access information. There's a great area on there that's frequently asked questions to really try to assist if you're buying a home, if you're selling a home, if you need a repair, what does that look like? What's the process involved? Who should you contact? Of course, we're always happy to answer any questions, but I think that there's a lot of really helpful information, and you probably could get a lot answered through there just by checking it out. Let's see. Our revenue for last year, we were at $165,828 for OWTS, and we are currently on track earning $44,390. So there's been a huge increase in OWTS already for 2021. And I think that's about it at this point, unless there's any questions, which I guess we'll do at the end. So
I'm going to ask for public comment, and if there's some questions there that you need to answer, we'll ask you to come back.
Yes,
Thank you. All right, I noticed there's a couple of hands during the presentation. Does anyone wish to speak?
My name is Trent Chappell, 30680 Mountain View Trail, Kiowa. Mr. Smith, can you tell me the survival rate of the COVID infections that have been tested positive?
The survival rate is very high. The survival rate is a measure that is considered the tip of the iceberg. So it doesn't
Dwayne, you need to come up here so it can be recorded.
The survival rate is very high, fortunately. The survival rate now is much higher than it was at the beginning of the pandemic. So as practitioners and hospitals and medical staff have learned how to treat the infections that have necessitated hospitalization, better outcomes have been achieved. That is certainly true. When we only focus on the survival rate, however, that's akin to looking at the tip of the iceberg. That doesn't take into account all of the infections, the related medical bills, the long-haul COVID individuals and things like that that have significantly affected families and communities. So I would encourage everyone to look at the larger picture and the relating or the related impacts on everything from the economy to schools to things like that.
Okay, so my comment to that is, with the much higher survival rate, when I was last told it was 99.997, which is 3 out of 100,000. It might be wrong, it'd be 97, which would be 3 out of 10,000 that die. By being scared to death of COVID, it is costing us economically a phenomenal amount. It's also causing suicides. In the last 2 weeks, we've talked to 2 families that have had a suicide in their family, and it's COVID related. We've been living in fear for too long. The next thing I have for you is, you said there was $2,300 in a quarter given to these restaurants, correct?
For the first quarter, yes, to the county, it was reimbursed.
To the county, that's being reimbursed to the restaurants for the first quarter.
Correct.
A quick mental check, I can think of about 18 restaurants in Elbert County, and I know I don't know them all. So that would be, let's just call it 20, that would be like $115 per restaurant. I spent more than that at a restaurant several times. Let's open this county up and get people going to restaurants and actually spending money where they can make their own money.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. I noticed that there's another hand up, please.
My name's Yvonne Chamberlain, 25105 County Road 5 in Elbert. I'm concerned.
Ma'am, I'm an old guy and don't hear very well. Can you get closer to the mic?
Well,
There you go. Thank
you
you.
want me to really speak up? My name is Yvonne Chamberlain. I live at 25105 County Road 5, Elbert, 80106. And I'm very concerned of all of this, and I'm concerned with these testings or the test positive things. I don't believe them all. I think that we're being misled. I know a gentleman who was supposed to get a COVID test. He was not able to go in to get it. And a few days after that, or the week after that, they called and says he tested positive. He says, I wasn't even there. Says you counted as positive. There's a few weird things happening here. And then what is this, you test positive abnormal? What does that mean? That's another gentleman. You know, and like I get bronchitis, criminy. In years past, If I had like a cold or something, it went to bronchitis. You know, if I'd probably go get a COVID test and had bronchitis, they'd tell me I had COVID. Yeah, things are not right with this testing. I do not believe the testing is accurate. Also, I'm concerned too about saying this fear factor of our grandchildren are here. You know, as it is ridiculous to have to watch these little kids if you're going to play outside, if you're going to run. I mean, these are grade school kids, and you got to wear a mask to play basketball? I think any grandma or mom knows better than that. The second thing I wanted to say was I really, I'm just finding out more about when I can come to these meetings, because I thought we were to have them in the evenings where the people could attend. I mean, I know several people who I've mentioned about coming today, but you know what? They have to go to work. Why? You guys, you're elected to help us, to listen to us. Everybody else is out there trying to work and trying to make it happen, and you don't give us the opportunity to come and talk with you. And to me, I think that's very sad, and I think you're not doing what you're supposed to, because you're supposed to be representing the people. Let's see. Oh, and the suicides, he already talked about that.
Commissioners, that's 3 minutes.
Oh, what?
Yeah, there's a time limit. Thank you very much for your comments, and I'll ask
man.
Dwayne to come up and respond to your COVID
Okay.
questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those perspectives, ma'am. If I can add some additional perspective to a couple things. We rely most heavily on the PCR tests results. Those are polymerase chain reaction. Those tests are, or those samples for those tests are analyzed at the same state-accredited laboratories that conduct testing from your healthcare provider, whether that's a blood test, a liver panel, cholesterol test, whatever. So I have great confidence in the results that are presented from the PCR test. No test is 100% accurate, no matter what test you're looking at. That is taken into consideration. The PCR test is the best option we currently have. It is the quickest and the most efficient option. The only other way to identify some of the infections would be to culture it in a petri dish in a lab, which is obviously very labor-intensive and time-consuming. Or another option would be to take chest film, which is obviously very expensive. So anything that is analyzed in a lab that must meet state accreditation is just as reliable as any other healthcare test that is done by your healthcare provider. With regard to situation whereby someone may have had an appointment for a test and was subsequently notified that they tested positive, please share that information with me, and if the person is comfortable speaking with me, I'd like to learn more about that so that we can investigate that. We certainly don't want any of those situations cropping up. And I can't recall what one of the other points was. Positive abnormal tests. Again, no test is 100% accurate. The tests are highly accurate. Some of the take-home tests, or I should say at-home tests, are less accurate. So again, what we rely predominantly on and what I report out daily are the PCR tests. Those tests that are measuring antibodies or other serology measures, blood fluid measures, I report them separately. In other words, I'll say there's X number of PCR confirmed tests on a given day, there's X number of antibody or serology tests, because it's not an apples to apples comparison, and I continue to separate those so that folks can have that information, and certainly I'm available to interpret anything at greater length if anyone wants to chat. So, thank you.
It looks like we have one more question.
Hi, I'm Maggie Witherby, 44447 Homestead Road. I'm part of Elbert County Stands Up. Part of what we look at is the COVID, what we call the COVID narrative. Dwayne, I would like to ask for an appointment with you, and I'd be glad to share some information with you. I'm only going to point out one thing right now, and that is that there are lawsuits all over the world that have begun. There are 3 in the United States, 1 in Ohio, New Mexico, and Maine, and we hope that Colorado will be joining that group. There's one also based in Germany. All of them use, all of the basis of their cases are the faulty, flawed PCR tests. They do not work. They are not a diagnostic tool. The inventor of the PCR test is Dr. Kerry Mullis. He said before he died, unfortunately, in I think 2019, that it is not a diagnostic tool. It cannot test whether or not a virus is present. It also goes into the cycles that they use in the PCR test itself. Reiner Fulmick is bringing a case. It's going to be crimes against humanity because of the fraud that has been perpetrated by this COVID narrative across the world. And Dwayne, I'd be glad to sit down with you and bring the information to you that we have. And we're going to be continuing to share that at these meetings, because we've got to get the word out that these tests are not accurate, and we have something going on that is way beyond a virus. So I'm going to end right there, but thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'm sure that Dwayne would be happy to meet with you. And did you want to comment?
Yeah, just want to share some perspective. I cannot comment. I'm not familiar with the lawsuits that you're referencing or the science behind the PCR tests. Yeah, and I'm certainly open. Dialogue is good. So I do want to also share that PCR tests are done for a variety of other tests, including for rabies. So this is a tried and true process. Is there the potential that any diagnostic test can be improved? Certainly. So I want to point out that PCR tests are used in many situations, many situations, both for humans, for livestock, and other situations. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Thank you, Stacy, and thank you, Dwayne. If you want to meet with those people, make your appointments. With that, I would entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion that we close the Board of Health meeting.
Second. Would you please take a vote? Aye.
Aye.
Does that satisfy everything you need, Amanda? Okay. With that, we'll go on to the next item on our agenda. That's the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Please vote. Aye.
Aye.
The next part of the meeting will be the elected officials and department heads and staff reports. I would like to start with the elected officials. Do we have some comments?
Good Good morning, Commissioners. Sherry Hewlett, Elbert County Treasurer and Public Trustee. I submitted my first quarter Public Trustee report, and I just wanted to be transparent. You may have wondered why there wasn't any funds being transferred to the Public Trustee Fund for this quarter. Well, in the whole audit process, myself and the auditors discovered in the third and fourth quarter, my formulas were off. So what I transferred in the fourth quarter to Fund 35 was just the revenue without expenses. So the report that you have indicated around $6,100 that I transferred too much. It's more like $3,000. So I have an amended report for recording that I'll give to Amanda for your signature. I just wanted to be transparent on that because typically we have something excess funds that are going into Fund 35. So having said all that, I know everybody in this room and probably listening, spreadsheets are great when they work, but if you mess with the formulas and they're not right, then they don't work so good. So anyway, that's been corrected moving forward. General fund got probably a little over $3,000 more than it should have for the year of 2020, but I'm really not worried about that. I guess theoretically the general fund could pay back the public trustee fund, but that's not necessary. So having said that too, right now we're still at just 2 foreclosures. So basically what's funding the public trustee's office is release of deeds of trust. And I don't know if you noticed on the report, but in 2020 we only had like 651 release of deeds of trust for the first quarter, and in 2021 so far we had like 1,050. So that's the best way really to fund the public trustee's office versus foreclosures. Did you have any questions on that at all, or? Okay, all right.
Thank you. And if we have any public comment based on the elected officials and staff, we're going to wait for those until after they have an opportunity to make their presentation. Thank you.
For us, the Treasurer's Office, it's business as usual. I just wanted the people in the room and the citizens listening to know that the full payment deadline is Friday. Obviously, we're closed on Friday, so just rest assured you have Monday to come in. If you want to come into the office and pay, or as long as it's postmarked by Monday, we'll take it without interest. So, all right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Is there any other elected official that would like to speak?
Good morning, Commissioners. Dallas Schroeder, Elbert County Clerk and Recorder. I'm here on the request of Commissioner Richardson. I understand you all have received a proposed resolution, and part of that resolution had some paragraph having to do with elections, and so he asked me to take a look at that and to give my first go-round on the opinion. First, I want to say, as far as resolution and people getting involved, I think it's great, and the more people we can get involved with situations and what's going on in the world today, I'm all for that. We've been fighting some of these battles that are listed in this resolution since I came in office, and it's good to have people coming on board with some of the same ideas, and so fully support that. With regards to this specific paragraph in this resolution, we do have some issues with it that we would have to work through to make it work. And what we found is we've talked to a lot of people since the presidential election, and when we're able to sit down and talk, we find that many people don't fully understand all that's involved with an election process. For us, it's not a one-day event. It's a several-month event that we start in August and sometimes even in July, getting certain documents in place and running clear through November and in the election. But even after that, there's so many tests and stuff we run afterwards. We don't generally close the election through December. So for us, it's close to a 6-month process. And as we've sat and talked with people, not fully understanding everything that we do, it helps them to kind of get pinpointed on where the issues are and what we can work with. As far as specifically within this paragraph, we have some of these things that would be a violation of federal law, And so we would have to definitely address that and work through that. There are other things in here that we do already that is part of our election processes. And so that would be redundant to have those in a resolution if it's something that we already do. And there's just certain things that even if I don't personally agree with them, we still have to follow state statute and follow the law in order for our votes within Elbert County to be tabulated. And so we appreciate people being involved. And what I would encourage everybody to do is, if you have any questions, to speak to the people who are directly involved with those different issues that you're having questions or concerns about. In the Elections Department, we are more than happy to sit down with any citizen and explain what goes on from the beginning to the end. With that respect, we have also started, this is going to sound a little vague, and it's intended to sound a little vague. We have done some more extensive research and some study that we're not ready to disclose publicly yet, but we are going above and beyond what is required in statute and rule to verify our election this past November. The Elections Department and myself are going to put together a presentation sometime in May when we're ready to disclose everything that we have been doing. And we will go into great detail at that point as far as the election process, all the different vendors that we use, the system that we use, what it does and does not do, and really give people a good picture on that. And so we will get the word out on that when we have everything finalized. I anticipate using this room and being able to put it on and record it and have it in forever. In my discussion with clerks across the state, they are excited for us to be putting this together, and they anticipate using our information as well as across the state. And so I would just encourage everybody that's concerned about the election to hang tight and let us do our back end of our work, of our investigation, and please come to our meeting when we have that in May. That we'll be able to tell you everything that we've been doing. But it's an important thing that everybody has confidence in elections. And so that is the purpose of what we're going to be doing in May, is to give people that confidence in what we've done and what is going on. Do I have concerns in other places? Yes. And what we will be focusing on is Colorado, what Colorado does. And I would love to be able to sit down with the clerks and election officials in other states and ask them questions, because I have questions. But all we can do is focus on what we have here. And so that's what we'll be doing in May. And I certainly appreciate everybody's interest in the elections. And we will make a big splash when we make an announcement of when that meeting will be.
I've been advised that there's a couple of people in the audience that will be wanting to speak during the public comment period. So thank you. All right, is there any other elected official that would like to speak? Any other staff member that would like to speak?
Commissioners, Rory Hale, Director of Public Works. Commissioner Richardson asked me to speak on this as well. I sent you some statistics yesterday, and he asked that I share it publicly. So, sorry about that. Since 2017, Road and Bridge has been tracking complaints. Obviously, we know we're going to get complaints, but I think it's important to be able to show what kind of responses we had to those complaints, response time. I only yell at my wife. No, I don't. So Superintendent Hankins has been tracking this. The numbers are kind of telling. 2017, it was 0.77%, and we base this percentage on number of complaints versus population of the county. 2018 was 0.33%. 2019 was 0.52%. It went up slightly because we were dealing with issues left over from the bomb cyclone. Last year, it went down to 0.37%, and as of yesterday, we're at 0.16%. Now, it's important to note that the majority of the counties that surround us, their complaints versus population percentages are between 3 and 4%. And again, ours is 0.16. So granted, we have counties like Douglas County and Arapahoe County a lot more populated, but I think that shows that we're not just being responsive, that we have changed things. We've changed the culture in Road and Bridge, how we conduct business, how we do maintenance on the roads. Granted, we still don't have a lot of resources to deal with, but I think that we're doing a good job of using what resources we do have with the biggest bang for the buck in mind. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Is there any other staff or department heads that would wish to speak?
Commissioners, I have one thing, and then I think Mark Dettenreiter has one thing. Would like to kind of give you an update on the American Rescue Plan funding that is coming down from the federal government. We still expect that first check to hit the 16th of May. The total allocated to the county is $5.2 million. The concerns that we have at this point in time is we have no official guidance from U.S. Treasury on what this money can be spent for. None. We see the bullet points that come out in the press releases on this, that, and the other, but until we get some official guidance on how we do this, and we will be audited on this amount of money next year, we can't start spending it. It's a little frustrating for me and my other county managers across the state and across the nation. As soon as we get some guidance, we'll start some planning efforts to figure out how best to utilize that for the county and for the citizens of the county. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Good morning, commissioners, elected officials, staff, fellow citizens. I'm Mark Dettenreiter, Economic Development Manager for Elbert County. We're proud to join other counties and cities across the country to increase awareness of the positive economic development work that's conducted in our communities to enhance local economies. So I'm here today to introduce a proclamation recognizing May 9th through 15th, 2021 as National Economic Development Week in Elbert County, Colorado. This started in 2016 by the International Economic Development Council. The Economic Development Council of Colorado, the EDCC, which we are a member, they're also supporting this effort. They are also providing some free live virtual webinars on economic development during that week of the 9th through the 15th. You can visit edcconline.org. That's edcconline.org to learn more. Each day there's a different theme they'll be presenting. So just some of the things that we're doing here locally, we're working to carry out the goals of the BOCC as it relates to economic development. We're focusing on recruiting businesses, supporting existing businesses, and expanding the commercial and industrial sectors. And along with that, naturally, would be to increase jobs. There are a lot of zones in the county related to economic development. One of those zones you gentlemen helped create, which is the Economic Development Zone, the EDZ. There's also the Enterprise Zone that helps with state income tax credits. We just had a conversation just the other day about there was a section on South Highway 86. One side on the north was an EZ classified area, and to the south it was not. So we're going to get that reviewed. That review is actually performed annually to see what the designations are as it relates to the enterprise zones. We also have a foreign trade zone in Elbert County as well. This quarter, the second quarter of 2021, we're working on a website. Excited about it. We'll have an economic development site housed within the county website. This would be a go-to resource for existing and prospective businesses. Just providing that guidance to state, federal programs, local programs, grants, incentives, financial tools, and so forth. There's also really going to be a good map feature that we're going to be working on. This will provide different layers on the maps that you can click on to show those zones that I just mentioned, also where utilities would be, just general zoning as well, and also may include available commercial properties. So this would really be a great source for folks to come just to get some important information to help businesses make decisions. As far as COVID relief and recovery goes, we're along the way here been connecting businesses to resources, assistance, and aid. Have one update, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund Program. That's through the Small Business Administration. That's also part of the American Rescue Plan Act. $28 billion is actually going to go to this Restaurant Revitalization Fund Program. There's a webinar today, in fact, at 12:30 p.m. through the Small Business Administration, so you may want to check that out. This fund will be opening, it just was announced just yesterday, May 3rd. You'll have access to that. Also out of this department, we're working on outreach, on developing partnerships, networking. We've had nearly 100 meetings this year so far, getting acquainted with stakeholders, sharing our goals, learning about the community, talking with, of course, our 3 incorporated towns, talking to all different types of agencies, elected officials, the Small Business Development Center, Workforce Center, Federal Economic Development Administration, the Office of Economic Development and International Trade, DOLA, the Department of Local Affairs, utility companies, local businesses, the ag community, institutions of higher education, and other economic development professionals and organizations in the region and the state. Another piece to all of this has to do with policies and process with respect to economic development. So part of our work includes looking at policies and process to make things more effective and efficient for businesses who are, whether they're starting, expanding, or relocating. And with that, just really appreciate your support. And before I read the proclamation, are there any questions, gentlemen?
One of the things about economic development that you and I have talked about is 90% of the assessed value in Elbert County is residents. So only 10% of the assessed value is any of these businesses, or all of these businesses combined, and there's a big taxation difference. So for economic development in the county, it will be very important that this process is successful.
Great, thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, may I proceed in reading the proclamation? Okay. Recognizing May 9th through the 15th, 2021 is National Economic Development Week in Elbert County, Colorado, whereas the International Economic Development Council, IEDC, the largest professional economic development organization, is dedicated in providing leadership and excellence in economic development for communities, members, and partners. And whereas in 2016, the IEDC created National Economic Development Week to increase awareness of local programs and services that create jobs, advance career development opportunities, and increase quality of life among our communities. And whereas the Economic Development Council of Colorado, the EDCC, works to strengthen our state's economy by unifying organizations involved in economic development, fostering the exchange of ideas, insights, and best practices for economic developers. And whereas the EDCC supports a week-long celebration of Colorado's economic development ecosystem and its partners. And whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by assisting in the creation, retention, and expansion of jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, which is the hallmark of the American economy. And whereas the Elbert County Economic Development Department is committed to help facilitate the creation of jobs, recruit, attract, and retain businesses, serve as a guide to connect businesses to resources, advocate for business-friendly policies, encourage private sector investment, collaborate with local, regional, and state strategic partners, assist in infrastructure improvements, engage in COVID-19 business relief and recovery efforts, and support a thriving community. And now, therefore, the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners do hereby recognize May 9th through the 15th, 2021 as National Economic Development Week in Elbert County, Colorado, and remind individuals of the importance of pursuing economic prosperity in our communities. Thank you.
You need us to adopt that? Is that? Okay.
Yes, please, if you would.
Rick, should we make this an action item?
Yes, I would say that we need to move it to action item.
Second.
Okay.
But I will make a motion that we,
I guess I should have asked for a vote.
yeah, right, aye. And I'll make a motion, we approve the proclamation recognizing National Economic Development Week.
I second that motion also. May I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The one thing I was going to say, I think the economic development is really important because in the past, this county has been anti-business and things like that. And it's really hard for the young people that have grown up in this county to remain in this county. And with the price of houses and everything else. So if we can get some economic development and keep some of our young people here that have grown up here and enjoy this way of life, I think it's important because I know that happened with most of my daughter's class from high school that very few have come back after they've moved away.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, that's part of our work, and we're motivated in that area. After this meeting, if you gentlemen would be so kind to take a photo after signing the proclamation, that would be really great. Thanks so much. Appreciate your support and your time today.
Thank you. Is there any other staff or department heads comments, remarks, presentation? We'll move on to citizen comment. Is there anyone here that wishes to make a citizen comment? Please.
Hello, I'm Maggie Witherby, 44447 Homestead Road, also representing Elbert County Stands Up. We've been working with the commissioners for quite a while to develop a resolution that would support our Constitution. And I think we have a version at this point that we're pretty happy about. It has very strong language, and I think it says the kinds of things that we need to be stating in terms of supporting the law of the land. Let me just read the first sentence here. This is a sanctuary county resolution declaring the whole Constitution of the United States is to be recognized in perpetuity as the highest authority in Elbert County, Colorado. There are copies of this. I think there are some up front and there are some in the back for those that don't have a copy of that. We know that the commissioners will be taking a look at this with the county attorney, so we appreciate that. I want to make just a few comments. In Colorado, we have a blue leadership at the top of our state, with the executive office and our legislature being in the blue category. We have many counties in our state that are in the red category, and we have a special responsibility, in my view. We represent traditional American values. We represent bastions of freedom and liberty. And many of us at Elbert County Stands Up, we see a very big picture here. We have seen the continuous assaults on our God-given freedoms, especially in the last year. Freedom to worship, freedom of commerce, to be able to make a living, freedom to be with whoever we choose to be with at any time. And we see medical tyranny staring us in the face right now. Mandatory COVID injections, the beginnings of forced compliance with threats of inability to shop or to travel, medical or health passports. If you don't have one of those, what are you going to be able to do in society? Doesn't sound like freedom to me. We are also fighting out other challenges in our Western way of life, to our livestock industries and our future food supply. These attacks are not random, and it's not coincidence theory. This resolution is really a very small step forward, but a very necessary one. This resolution is in support of our Constitution. It will not be the last time that all of us are going to be required to stand up for freedom. I believe there are more serious challenges ahead, and that this is just a practice step for a more real challenge to come. Let's take this challenge, this first step together, I should say, as perhaps our country's founding fathers may have done. We urge our county to become a constitutional sanctuary county. And I thank you. One more remark relative to my previous comments. I think what Elbert County Stands Up would like to do is invite elected officials and staff. We'd be glad to share with you any and all the information that we have on the COVID narrative, and especially the lawsuits that are ongoing in our country and in other countries of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes.
Trent Chapel, 30680 Mountain View Trail, Kiowa. I'm going to start out with, isn't this a home rule county? No, it's not? Okay. My apology, I thought we were under home rule. The next thing is, we do need economic development in this county. That goes back to this gentleman. We've been talking about the $5.2 million and how we're going to spend it for quite some time. I don't know how we're going to spend it, but it seems like they're holding this out as a carrot. And you guys are chasing it around trying to grab this carrot. Well, I did the math. There's roughly 16,000 people in this county. That breaks down to $325. It's time to quit worrying about $325 a person and start letting this county make money. Open this county up, and you'll see a whole lot more money coming into this county than $325 per person. Let's take this county back and tell the feds what they can do.
The reason we hired Mark to lead our economic development was for that very reason. We were trying to make the public and potential business partners recognize that Elbert County is open for business.
Okay, well, we can't afford to sit on our hands. We need to get busy.
I understand. Anyone else wishes to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Yvonne Chamberlain, 25105 County Road 5. And I would just, since Dallas got up and said that the meeting isn't all in cement yet or whatever, I was hoping that perhaps the meeting could be in the evening so that...
Yes, we plan on doing it in the evening.
Oh, good. And as far as like when he was talking and when the development guy was talking, I just thought, oh, wouldn't it have been wonderful if we could have had this whole room filled with concerned citizens that want to know what's going on, because we do, but most of us are out working. So I would like to really reiterate, let's have evening meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Yes, sir.
I'm Dennis Chamberlain, 25105 County Road 5, Elbert. Sure, I think. Dennis Chamberlain, 25105 County Road 5, Elbert, 80106. I want to speak to the road and bridge. We You said there's only, I don't know, very few complaints, and I've tried to make comments to the road and bridge. I get a voicemail, ask for a callback. I've never had a callback. So probably if we don't get callbacks, we don't get complaints. I would like to speak to you or to someone. How can we make our complaints?
Just contact Rory. He's our
I've
leader.
tried, you can't get through, you get a voicemail. Can I speak to you after the meeting? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? There being none, we'll close that portion of the meeting. Dallas, would you like to respond to anything with respect to the comments that we just heard?
Yeah, the only thing I heard about the election specific was our evening for going into great detail, and we do plan on doing that in the evening. We'll put out on the Elbert County Clerk's Twitter page. We'll do that. We'll put it on the website. We'll do everything we can. We'll get in touch with your group and let you know when that's going to be, because we do want a lot of people here, and I think it'll be a fun and informative evening. So stay tuned for that, and we'll definitely be in touch. We'd like to talk to everybody afterwards.
Thank you. We'll go on to the discussion items. We have a discussion of the CDS 2020 Development Report. You might want to listen to this because you'll find it quite interesting.
Thank you, Commissioners. Christina Stander, Director of Community and Development Services. And this has been a long process trying to put everything together this year, double-checking numbers and putting the subdivision list in here. A couple of the high points, in the year 2020, there were only 8 minor plats that were approved for 12 residential lots on 10-plus acres, and about 11 commercial industrial lots, part of that leak project out there as well. Also in 2020, there were only 5 rezone applications. I think 3 of those were rezones to AR, again, those 10-plus acre type of developments. And as I mentioned, we did add a residential subdivision list as an appendix in this year's report. That took quite a bit of time to put that together. Some of the other high points I want to mention that staff is planning to add a commercial or industrial subdivision list next year, along with a section on economic development efforts. We had additionally 1 administrative variance for minimum lot size in 2020, 4 site plans, 1 minor special use for an accessory dwelling unit on 1 to 5 acres, 3 plat amendments. Also want to mention that the residential subdivision list that was created as the appendix is for subdivisions of 2 or more lots. And note that any commercial or exempt lots, and exempt lots are typically lots that are dedicated to the county for open space in years previously, to a school district for future school sites, or to a fire district for a future fire district or fire station location. Those were excluded from the total lot counts. So if you look at that and say, well, there should be so many lots, anything that was identified using the assessor's information as commercial or excluded was removed. And point out again that there were no new major plats approved in 2020. It was just the handful of minor developments that equated to 12 new residential lots. And we did have some statements about the length of time for some of the applications. Some went fairly quickly. Some took, 300 or 400 of days to go through process. Major factors in any length of application: are related to review and referral comments and the length of time it takes for the applicant to respond to various comments. Additionally, in 2020, things were a lot of times lengthened because of inquiries and back and forth related to COVID and things slowing them down. And additionally, want to point out in the section having to do with our zoning compliance, it was very interesting to be able to compare from 2019 and 2020 and see that there was nearly a doubling of folks working with the county to resolve issues of noncompliance from 2019 to 2020, from 17% in 2019 to 30% in 2020. And additionally, there was dramatic decrease in the percentage of folks who were non-responsive from 21% in 2019 down to only 9% in 2020. The percentage of completed and corrected zoning compliance cases stayed about the same for both years. It was 41% in 2019 and 44% in 2020. And I think that hits most of the high points that I have in here, unless you have specific questions regarding the report.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed as I went through your report there, that the majority, and I mean the significant majority, of the homes that have been built in the last 12 months are in subdivisions that were approved between 15 and 20 years ago. Is that true?
Yes, we have not had a lot of new subdivisions. Like I said, the ones from this year were only minor. There were no major ones this last year, and they only added 12 more lots.
When you say lots, you mean building locations?
Residential lots that could be built on, yes. Yeah, most of them have been existing for a number of years. The newest large one is probably Independence.
I mean, it was approved, what, 12 or 14 years ago?
Correct. Originally as Bandera and then as Independence. And they just started building last year. I think they had 34 residential building permits pulled within the year.
Yeah, you know, I think you're seeing a lot of growth out east also. People are buying vacant land and building out there and stuff. So I think that's where some of the growth that people are anticipating in building permits is on vacant land that's out east. So it's not actually new subdivisions and things like that, but there is a lot of activity out east that's going on. But we do have, I think Miller Ranches is coming up, but that was another subdivision that was approved, 10 years ago and things like that we're still dealing with. So as of this point, we haven't really seen anything new that's large that's coming in that hasn't been approved in the past.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we'll move to action items. Yeah, is there any, that's a good question. Is there any public comment on this 2020 development report? Any public comment? There being none, we'll move on to action items. The minutes of April 14th.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of April 14th, 2021 and dispense with the reading.
Second. May I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We'll move on to the acceptance of the Transportation Master Plan. Rory, did you like to talk to us about this?
Commissioners, Rory Hale, Director of Public Works. As you recall, we had a discussion the last meeting on the draft transportation plan. There were a couple of minor changes that were made. There is still some ancillary work that needs to be done that really isn't a part of this document. It's primarily based upon truck routes and load limits, which we're going to work with a consultant on over the next couple of weeks. But for all intents and purposes, this document's complete. Staff in particular, Monty, but Kyrie probably more than anything, put a lot of time and effort into this, along with the consultant, Kimley Horn. I think it's a good document. It's definitely an improvement on the West Elbert master plan that we had years ago. One thing that we're committed to doing, if this is accepted today, is to review this on a 5-year basis and make any necessary updates that we're going to have to. And chances are we're going to have to with some of the growth that we're seeing. So with that said, the item you have before you for formal action is acceptance of the Elbert County 2021 Transportation Master Plan.
Just one comment that I'd like you to comment on. This is not a regulatory document. It's a guidance document. So our staff will use this as an indicator of a direction, a positive direction that they're trying to go, but it is not a regulatory document. Is that right?
Correct. It's a lot like the comp plan is. It's going to be a living, breathing document. It's for all intents and purposes, it's a guide. It's a guide for development within the county. It's a guide for road and bridge as we continue to develop and hone the CIP. But you're correct. It is not regulatory by any means, but it gives us a roadmap to look forward to. And again, it's something that I can leave my predecessors, which we really didn't have a lot to work with almost 4 years ago. So, yes.
Did you have any comments? No. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? There being none,
I'll make a motion, we accept the Transportation Master Plan.
second, may I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'll make a motion, we approve the BOCC 2020 budget goals.
I second that motion. May I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're on to board planning. Is there any items that you'd like to add, Sam, or?
No, sir, Commissioners, just the regular agenda as we put that together. If anything else comes up, we've got a little bit of time to add it.
Thank you. Is there any staff, do they have anything they want to add? Okay, it's good guidance for next time. Ready for adjournment till this afternoon?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need a motion for that? No, I think. Okay, we'll go into a recess until 1 o'clock this afternoon at this location, at which time we will initiate land use and planning items. Thank you.